Should you file a police report after an auto accident, even a minor fender bender? The answer is almost always yes. Why? Because stories have a tendency to change the further you get away from the accident date. Watch this video to learn more. Hi, Barry here from the LawFull channel. On this channel, you're going to find lots of short legal videos like this one on the topics that affect our lives. If you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, please do so. And if you have any questions or comments about any legal issues or matters, feel free to reach out to me. If I can't help you, I'll find someone who can. So, more than likely, your state, wherever you are, requires you to report an accident to the Department of Transportation or the Department of Motor Vehicles within a certain time period after an accident occurs. For example, in my home state of Illinois, the Department of Transportation requires that all people involved in an accident involving an injury, a fatality, or property damage over $1,500 file a report with the IDOT within 10 days after the accident occurring. However, there is no law in the state of Illinois that requires you to file a police report after an accident occurs. So check the laws in your state if you're involved in an accident. I can tell you from my own personal experience as a personal injury lawyer that it's extremely important to file a police report after an accident takes place, no matter what type of accident you're in, whether it to be a serious accident or a minor fender bender. Why is it so important? Well, you need to document the existence of the accident, the severity of the accident, and all the other facts that correspond to the accident so that you can have evidence on your side later when you file a claim with the insurance company. So why do you need to call the police? You need to document the existence of and facts surrounding your accident. If the police don't file a report, when you try to file an insurance claim, it's just your word against the other party's word. Unfortunately, two drivers involved in the same accident can have very different versions of what happened in the accident. Having the police investigate brings in a neutral third party to look at the facts of the accident, to measure skid marks, to look at the type of property damage, to look at video. It's a way of ensuring that a neutral arbiter makes a decision about responsibility for the accident. Not only is it your word against their word, even if this person was being really helpful and pleasant at the scene of the accident, it's amazing how stories change over time. The same person who was so helpful originally can change his or her tune very easily, especially when they realize that causing an accident is going to increase their insurance rates. Now, obviously, after the accident, you're going to want to get the other driver's insurance information and contact information. Sometimes that can be a little bit uncomfortable, so having the police come and get it for you is always a benefit. The reason I hear from most people why they didn't call the police is because the accident was fairly minor. It was a fender bender and the property damage was small, or they didn't feel much in the way of injury at the time of the accident. Unfortunately, oftentimes property damage doesn't arise until later, maybe when you're driving the car home or even a week later. And injuries work the same way. Oftentimes your back pain or the headaches don't arise for a couple days after the accident occurring. If you didn't document the existence of the accident at the time it happened, your road to recovery was just made that much harder. Another reason you want to call the police is that after an accident, you want your car fixed as quickly as possible. You want to get this process over with. Well, the defendant's insurance company may very well wait till they see the police report before making a determination of liability or responsibility for the accident. So the sooner you file that report, the better off you're going to be and the quicker you can get your car fixed. I have seen a lot of cases where the police refuse to come to the scene of an accident. Kind of surprising. People often wait for an hour or 2 hours for the police to arrive and they never get there. Why is that? The police can be pretty busy. If you live in a major metropolitan area like Chicago or Los Angeles, it's difficult for the police to come out to every single collision because there's a lot of them. So collisions involving minor damage and no injuries, police will often defer and not go to. In addition, I've seen many cases where an accident occurred on private property, and as a result, the police won't show up. If the police don't come to the scene of the accident, At the very least, call 911 and get the existence of the accident on the record, on their 911 transcript. You can use that to prove the existence of the accident later with the insurance company. After things are resolved at the scene of the accident, if you can, drive to the local police station and report the accident. The police will take down the information, the property damage, how the accident occurred, if you suffered any injuries, and you can use that report subsequently with the insurance company. Now, the police may give you the report right then, but just a heads up, if you're in a major metropolitan area like Chicago, or even worse in Los Angeles, it could take a couple of months to get a copy of that police report. That's how backlogged these folks are. Regardless, make sure you file the police report as soon as you can after the accident. This will almost always protect you in the end. Okay, it's time for your take on the law. Were you involved in an accident, even a minor fender bender, and then didn't report the accident to the police and didn't get a police report? How did it work out for you? Tell us about it in the comments below. Hey, thanks for checking out this video. If you liked what you saw and you are interested in getting more free legal information, please subscribe to our channel. And if you have any questions or comments, feel free to reach out to me. If I can't help you, I'll find someone who can.